Right. All right. Thank you very much. My name is Fumito. For those that you know are joining for the first time, I'm an educator and a technical trainer. I'm also a certified data analyst and cloud engineer. Last week we started an introductory course to Microsoft Excel, which is one of the most popular, if not the most popular tool for, data analysis and entry, data entry and data analysis. So today, we're going to be continuing along that lines. But before we do that, I'm going to just briefly recap. Last week we did an introduction to the interface. We talked about workbooks and worksheets, how to navigate from one workbook to the other. We got introduced to data entry and formatting. And then the second day, we talked about formatting cells and text. I introduced you guys to some basic formulas, some average count. And then we also talked about cell references. So for today, we're going to be looking at 3-4 different things, and I want it to be as interactive as possible. Hopefully, this is going to be brief, so I don't bore anybody. I shared the link to this Excel workbook last week. I don't know if there's anyone that might still have access to it, or I can just go ahead and share it again. So this is the workbook where we were working last week, when we talked about those different things. So today we're going to be starting so how do we navigate workbooks? How do we navigate workbooks? So that's where we are going to be starting from. But before I go on, who can tell me what the difference between a workbook and a worksheet? Anybody? This is going to be an interactive class, hopefully. Yeah, anybody that can help with that? Can you guys hear me? I hope I'm not alone on this call. Yeah, anybody? Should I call names? Please raise your hand if you want to talk. You can't unmute your mic, so let me allow for unmuting. I think I did that initially because a lot of people were unmuting, and yeah, so you can unmute now. So please kindly, yeah, so if you can just unmute and then just let us know.
Okay, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you.
The difference between a workbook and a worksheet, I'm not particularly sure, but from my guess, I could say a workbook can contain multiple worksheets. So a workbook is like the entire document itself, and worksheets are single sheets within the workbook. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very, very much. That's so spot on. That is so spot on. So a workbook is the actual file. So when you share a Microsoft Excel file with someone, it's called a workbook. But then within each workbook, you can have hundreds of worksheets or tabs, as the case may be. All right, so I'm trying to get the link for this sheet. But I don't know if there was anybody that was here last week that can help us drop it. I think I shared it. So I'm trying to get a hold of it again so that I can share. Just a second. Share. Just a second. Please hold on. So you can just take this document and then walk along as the case may be. All right. Yes. So currently we have 3 worksheets on this document, right? There's a what is it called? There's the original file where we started from. Then there is the formatted ones where we had done some, where we did some of our formatting and all. And then we have the where we got introduced to some basic calculations in Microsoft Excel. So depending on the type of workload you are doing, sometimes you need to manipulate workbooks, you need to update, you need to add, you need to delete, you need to import data from another workbook or worksheet, as the case may be. So what we're going to do now is we are going to be referencing, even though we've already done it, but I'm just going to be making it more, I'm going to be actually talking about it, right? So to reference a workbook or to reference a worksheet in another worksheet, or to reference a tab in another tab, what you need to do is just basically, use the equal to, which I mentioned last week is used for referencing for any sort of thing you are doing, whether it's a formula or another, whether you're importing something else. You use the equal to sign. So let's say, for instance, I'm interested in this particular column of data, column B, which is the end of this particular column, and I want to copy only that column into this particular tab. So I've created a new sheet, as you can see. I just need to do equals to, then I can either type manually, but to avoid errors, I can just click on the tab I want. Then you can see it automatically, it has imputed the name of the tab that I clicked on, and then put an like this apostrophe, exclamation mark. So basically it means inside this tab, then the exclamation mark stands for like the range. So the range I want to reference. So I'm going to click on the column, and then you can see it's doing this twice. This is not supposed to be done twice. So you can see immediately I press enter, you can see it has brought out all the columns. But then there's a problem here. Can anybody tell me what the problem is from what we discussed last week? Can anybody tell me what the problem is? Anyone who wants to take a big guess? Anyone at all? Who can tell me what the problem is? So I've just referenced a column from a tab into another tab, but then I'm seeing this instead of this. This is what I should be seeing normally, but then I'm seeing a bunch of numbers. Who can tell me what this means? Anybody? Anyone? Nobody? I'm going to be calling names. Sorry. Nkechi Kalista, are you there? Please, can you help us with why you think the problem, what is the problem here? What can we do? Can you guys hear me? Please, I want to be sure I'm not alone. I'm not very comfortable with the silence.
I can hear you.
Yeah, so please, can you tell us what the problem is? Why is it that when I did a copy from one tab or from one referenced cell to another, I'm getting this instead of dates that I should be getting? This is what I was intending to get, but see what I'm getting instead. What's the problem? Anybody who can tell me? Don't worry, you don't have to be right. Even if you are wrong, this is a learning process. Everybody here is learning. So please, there's nothing to be ashamed of. I have been there. I've been at a point where I was learning too at some point. So yeah, I just need someone to attempt. I'm getting the vibe that I'm not doing anything here. So I think everybody knows what they're doing.
Everyone.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the cell is not formatted to a date and time format. It's in a decimal number format.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, that's the answer, basically. Thank you very much for that. Really appreciate it. So, and I think I mentioned it last week. To get this to what it should be, I just need to click on the entire column, then come under this group, and then go and select the format I want, which is date. So I'm going to select the date time, which is so you can see now that this has yeah, it's appearing normal now. It's appearing normal. All right. So now that's that about referencing. Like basically anytime you need to work between workbooks or between worksheets, is the same idea. So I can copy data from this particular workbook, for instance, and take it to another workbook and do my calculations. It doesn't matter as long as I'm referencing it properly. Yeah, so next I'm going to now talk about how do you rename. So if you see, by default, when you create a workbook, it comes with sheet something. So this now, to rename, all I need to do is just right click, and then you can see options for things you can do. There's insert, there's delete, there's rename, there's move or copy. I'll talk about each of these, or at least some of them. I'll talk about yeah. So for renaming, you just need to click on rename. So I'm going to say class. Today is December 1. So 01/12/23. So this is basically all it takes to rename. A shorter method would be to just double click, right? To just double click. So once you double click, it highlights it, then you can also use that to rename. What did I use to correct? I don't get that. Is it to correct or to connect? Please, if you can.
You asked me a question the other time that when you copying some other reference to another reference, that so you an error. So you were like, what was the mistake there? So I didn't get how you corrected it.
Okay, so the mistake was that, by default, when you click on, so if I click on here, you see that there's equal to, then there's the name of the tab. So what happened was this tab, I clicked on it twice, and then it duplicated this thing. So if I had left it that way, I would have gotten an error. So what I did was just to delete one of these. So this was what we had before. This was what we had. We add this. Now, if I do this, I'm going to get an error. So you can see. So what I did was just basically to delete this. and then so basically this was what the problem was. Yeah, so I've done that. Yeah, so we've talked about this now. So let's look at renaming. So we've also mentioned renaming. I mentioned you can either double click or just right click. Now, sometimes when you are working with very big data sets, so let me take a use case, for instance. Let's say you are someone that develops dashboards for organizations, maybe monthly reports on a dashboard. And then, so let's say this is December, for instance. I've prepared the dashboard for December. And then in January, typically when you make reports, they're usually like the same. They look alike a lot. So most of the time, instead of starting from scratch, you usually need to copy something you've done before, copy it to another either tab or another workbook entirely. So to do that, you use what is known as move or copy. So if you see when I right clicked, there was a move or copy menu here. If I click on it, it's going to give me two options. So you can see move selected sheets. So I can either move this from here, right, to a new book. So if I move this to a new book, what this means is that it's going to create a new workbook and then move it. But if I don't want to move it, if I just want to make a copy, I need to click on this checkbox. So that way, it's not going to move it. So let's say I've prepared my report for November, for instance. November just ended. And then middle of December, I want to start preparing my report for December. All I need to do is just, come here, create a new workbook. So I'm going to create a new workbook now. I'm going to call it December workbook. Let me just save it in my downloads. So you see, I have this file open, December workbook, but then I don't have any other thing apart from sheet 1. So let's say this is my November report, and then I want to create a December report. All I need to do is just right click, move or copy. And then you see when I click on this arrow, you will see that the December workbook that I created is already showing up. Meaning that I can click on it, create a copy, and then okay. So now once I've done this, even if I close this particular document, for instance, you can see, let's see, you can see that it has made a copy. Sorry, I think it has made a copy. Let me I'm going to make a copy, create copy, then move it to this book, December workbook. Now, when I click OK, it's currently copying. And then I go to the December workbook. You can see now that it has copied it exactly the same thing. Now, let's say this is my December workbook. I can now start making the necessary changes, just a few edits and here and there. And then I can, when the end of December comes, I can submit that as a report for December. So a lot of things, once you've done them once, especially when you are a reporter, you don't need to do them again and again. You can just always move or copy from one workbook or one worksheet to another. Now, let's say I'm done with this tab now. I don't need it again. I can easily, delete. So that automatically deletes that particular workbook. So that's basically it with inserting, renaming, editing workbooks. Now we're going to move to yeah, we've done a little bit of organizing data between worksheets as well. So this now is a form of pulling data from another workbook or another worksheet. So let's say, for instance, what I want to do, I'm going to open another document. I'm going to open another document. So let's say I want to copy the data that I have in here. I want to copy it and paste it here, right? It's the same way I can just as well do an equal to. I can do equal to. Now, once I click on this and I click enter, you can see automatically it imports that data for me. Now, of course, I've lost the formatting because it's a copy. So all I can do now is just to copy this formatting, and then I can use it here as well. Now you see how easy it is really. Let's to move data around Excel. I don't know if anybody has any questions. About what I just did. Now, if you look at this, you will see that it's still the same formula, but here now it's referencing the name of this workbook. Welcome to Excel.xlsx, the one table, then the name of the tab, then the address, so the address of the cell. So now, if for any reason, let's say I rename this document. Let me rename this document. I'm going to close this document and then reopen it and then rename it. You'll see what happens. So I'm going to open this. And then I'm going to rename it. So let's rename it to, let's leave it like this, 001. So you see, I've renamed my spreadsheet. Now, if I come here, right? Come here, let me see. Can you guys see my screen? Sorry. So you can see that
Yes, sir.
this automatically, you remember, I'm coming, let me see my data. Let me refresh. So this automatically, you can see, because this is a live document, right? All these documents actually live online. You can see that automatically it has changed the name here. It has picked the name change. I don't know if anybody gets it. Before, this was welcome to Excel 001. I don't know if you got me. So I'm going to close this. So you see, immediately I changed the name of that document. It picked the change and updated itself. Now, that's one of the advantages of using Excel. I don't know if that really happens in Google Sheets. I don't know. I don't think it happens. But with Excel, when you have so I'm trying to reopen the document. So you can see it has updated. But let's say that I move this document away from this location where it is. Let's say I move it away from where it's currently located. Sorry. And then its document is no longer found. So I'm going to move this document away. This welcome to Excel. I'm going to move it away from this location. Sorry. So I'm going to move it to my downloads. Let's say I'm going to move it to my downloads. I'm going to move it here. And then I'll refresh the data. So you would see close this and then reopen. I'm going to reopen. So now you see, when I click on update, you can see unable to refresh. We couldn't get updated values from a linked worksheet. Basically, it's telling me here that there's an issue with this link. Now, all these are happening because I'm using Microsoft 365, which is like the online version. If this was a what is it called? If it was not like saved online, what happens is that I'm going to break this formula and then I will not be able to see the data again. But you can see that even though I've broken the link here, the data still remains. Yeah, so those are some of the advantages of working with, tools like that, like latest version of tools. Questions before we move to workbook views. Any questions? Anything that's not clear about what we've done so far? So I'm going to move this back. Set. Yeah, so it goes back to where it should be. Any questions from anybody? Okay, no questions. All righty. Workbook views. So a view allows you to basically edit how the workbook looks. As a shortcut, you can always change your workbook view from the bottom right. So you can see, if you look here, there are different views, right? So you can see there's a normal view, which is where we're currently on. There's a page layout, which basically breaks your page into pages. So if I click on page layouts, so you can see, yeah, we're going to come to talk about freezing and unfreezing columns. So you can see I've changed it now. So this is how my workbook looks in pages. So you can see as it is now, it has broken it into different pages. There are different scenarios where you need to use different views like this. Then there's a print layout, how it's going to appear when you want to print. So you can see this is what the print layout looks like. And then when it comes to freezing, I think it was last week too, while I was working, sometimes you need to keep a particular part of your spreadsheet open for whatever reason. So let's say, for instance, this spreadsheet has 1 million rows, for instance. It's always a good idea to always keep the top row, or maybe like the first or two columns, frozen, so that you can always use them as a reference. How do you do that? You also do that from the views. So I'm going to click on views. Sorry, guys. Sorry, let me move this away. So you can see it's also in a view. You see a freeze pane command under the window group. How do you freeze panes? So you can freeze top row, you can freeze first column, or you can make it in such a way that you want to do it manually. So let's say I want to freeze the first two columns and the first row. I'll need to put it after. So as it is now, it's going to, if I click freeze panes, it's going to freeze the first two columns and the first two rows. It's going to freeze the first column and the first two columns here and the first row. So if I scroll up, right, you can see that this first row remains in view. If I do the same thing like this, you see that the first two columns remain in view. So that's basically what freezing a pane is all about. I can also unfreeze. If I wanted to freeze just the top row, I can select that, freeze top row. Then you can see it's frozen the top row. If I wanted to freeze just column, you can see just one column. But most of the time, you usually want to freeze maybe 2-3 columns and then freeze maybe 2-3 rows. So you need to count that. So let's say I want to freeze 2 columns, 2 rows. I need to put it on the third column on the third row. And then click on freeze pane. You can see freeze pane. So now I can see the first 2 rows, I can see the first 2 columns, irrespective of where I move to. Yeah, I'll take a slight pause again for any questions and reactions, however you want to, whatever it is that's on your mind that you want to say, and please say now. Maybe we'll do a couple of more calculations and then we'll call it a day. Questions. Let me say, one thing with learning any new tool is practice. And if you're not asking questions, it's probably telling me one of two things. It's either you are either super smart and you don't have any questions, or you are not practicing at all. But I can say maybe 70% is the fact that many of us are not really practicing, because when you start using a new tool, you always come across issues. And if you are someone that is not very experienced with tools like this, it can become very confusing. So it's always a good idea when you have questions, when you have issues you are not clear about, please ask on the group. We have a WhatsApp group that is dedicated for, feedback and just catering for you guys. So if you think you have any question, feel free to tag, feel free to ask your questions. Even if it's in the middle of the night, you can be sure that when people wake up, they would respond to it, as long as nobody else has responded to it yet. Yeah, so I'm here, I'm waiting. Questions. Waiting on questions for you guys. If nobody is asking a question, I want to ask a question. Okay. J. Mattis Kingsley, please let me hear your voice. I want to ask you a question. How I move a document, a worksheet now from one tab in a workbook to another workbook? How do I do this? Can you explain the process for me? Are you there?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Please call me. What was the question?
So I'm saying, I want to know. I'm hearing an echo. Are you using two devices? So I want to move, or I've prepared a report. I prepared a report last month, and I want to prepare the same report this month. Just make slight adjustments. How can I copy that report or that dashboard to another document for this month? How can I do that in Excel?
Okay. So I'm still
Anybody
looking
wants
at
to
it.
help? Huh?
I'm still looking at it.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah. Good evening.
Yeah, can I try?
Yes, please go on.
This is Andrew. Okay,
All right.
so on the sheet, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Okay, so I say on the sheet, you right click,
Yeah.
you right click on the sheet, then you see move or copy. When you click the move or copy,
Yeah.
you tick the place where you have a create a copy.
Yeah.
Then you go to the to book, then
Yeah.
select new book, then click OK.
Okay. Yeah, that's basically it. It's as simple as that. So you can see creating. Yeah, it's done. So now I can start working from here for my December report. I'll just need to make a few edits and then I'm good to go. Thank you very much for the answer. All right. One more question I'm going to ask. Let me see. I'm going to select someone at random. Eniola. How can I make sure that this row always stays visible in my spreadsheet such that when I scroll up like this, that row is not disappearing? How do I do that? Daniela there?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, the way we can do that without the this thing moving is by freezing the row.
Okay, so can you direct me? How do I do that?
Okay, so we are going to place our arrow on the first column.
Okay.
On the
This is the
first
first
column,
column.
then goes.
First
Yeah, on the
column,
first.
what row? Remember, I want to keep just this row, just this row. I don't want any other row, just this row.
Okay. Okay, we are going to put on our arrow on the. Oh, I can't see this properly.
You can see
because I can't see the number of the row because the record is on the surface, so I can't really see
Is it better?
I will guess on the row. Okay, yeah, it's better now. I can see. So the arrow on the row of D1.
Okay, this is
D1,
D1.
yes, D1. Then we go to. I'm coming. Sorry, please. Okay, on D1, then we click on view.
Okay.
Then we click on view. Then we go to freeze and freeze row 1.
There's no freeze row 1 here. There are 3 options.
Okay, freeze top. Freeze the top row. Mine is saying differently. My own Excel is saying.
What is it saying?
It's saying 1 row, 2 rows. So mine is just 1 row.
So in Excel,
Yes.
what version of Excel is that?
I don't know. I'm going through my Google workspace. So that's where I'm going
Okay, so
through.
they're using Google Sheets.
Yes, I'm
Oh,
going
okay.
through.
Yeah. Google Sheets is slightly
Yes.
different, although they work in the same way. So, but for Google Sheets, you see, freeze 1 row, freeze 1 column, freeze
Yes.
current
2 rows.
column, yeah, or freeze column E, something like that. So freeze
Yes.
up to column something something, or freeze up to row something something. Yeah, the concepts are the same, but the menus are different. So, but basically the idea is the same. But I think under Google Sheets, yeah, I think it's also under View. I think it's also under View.
Yes.
The freezing and not freezing. Okay, so I'm going to call one more person. Mamuzo Edeo. I hope I got your name correctly. I want to this column. I want it copied to this cell here, right? How do I do that? I want that entire column to be on cell G1. How do I do that? I want this entire column.
Okay, so basically it's just to align the full column. Then
Okay.
I copy, click on copy, then go to that new column I want to put. Either I use Control V or I use my right click, then paste.
That's not what
But
I
if
want
it's
to do.
formula, okay, I didn't get
I
it.
want to reference it. I don't want to copy and paste.
Okay, reference.
Yes.
Well, I think I'm not clear on that.
Yeah, so how do I, you are going to say something else. If it's formula, how do I do that?
No, if I'm copying it, as in copying the formula, and I want to paste, in pasting there, we have different pasting option.
Yeah.
Either paste with formula, paste as
And
I
I think you meant
copy,
format.
paste with picture. Yeah, the
That's
format,
format.
exactly.
Yeah. So, but what I'm saying is, so if you look at this tab, for instance, I copied everything that is on column B here, and I copied them here, but I didn't use copy and paste. So I didn't use copy and paste. So it's the same thing, because a lot of the time when you're working with data, you have to do a lot of referencing, like a lot of referencing, just so that, and the reason you do referencing is because if, for instance, I have a dashboard that depends on a cell, if I do copy and paste, if something changes in that place where I've copied from, I will not be able to, my dashboard will not change. It will not update automatically.
Yeah.
So why you reference is that if something changes in the underlying data,
Of course.
you want this to also automatically update itself so that you don't have to keep doing things manually. So basically it helps with automation. It's largely meant for automation. So if anything changes here, so if, for instance, you remember that this calculation, they're basically automatic. So you can see count ifs, count ifs, count ifs. So if, for instance, tomorrow another survey is submitted, and then this number increases, this is going to automatically increase, and then whatever we put here will also automatically increase instead of us to do it manually. So that's the reason why you do referencing. So that's why I'm asking. So how do I reference what is here, this entire column, so that it shows up on this column? Anybody else that wants to try? Anybody thinks they can try? Magdalena, Joshua, you want to try?
I have no idea.
Oh, but we've done this today now.
Yeah, I actually
And
didn't get that.
you joined it late. Okay, so I'm going to do it one more time, and hopefully you get it this time. Anytime you are referencing, all you need to do is just put the equal to sign. The equal basically means reference. And then go to where you want to reference and click on the cell address. So you can see what I'm doing here is that I want column E to come and become, I want what is it called, to reference column E. And you can see 6, 5, 8, 10. You can ignore the 0, 0, 0, 0 for now, because we're not really focusing on that for now. But basically, if I wanted it to reference column D and E, I would need to do the same thing. So I'll just put column D to column E. And then you can see, it has referenced it. Now, because this is a spill, there's in Excel, there's something called a spill. That's why you have this 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. You can always find a way. There's a way you can, remove it. But that's beyond the scope of today's class. But basically, you can see now that what we have here is exactly the same thing we have here. So if anything changes here, for instance, let's say I do plus 20 here, and this changes to 26. If I come here, you can see automatically it has updated to 26. So I don't need to do it manually. I just need to change it in one place, and all the other ones will catch up. Yeah. Are we clear? So is that clear now? Magdalene, can you do this again? Can you do this now if you are asked to?
Sorry, sir. Could you kindly go over it again? I'm a bit confused.
Okay. Now, cell referencing. A lot of the time, when you are working with data in actual business case, you don't duplicate data. You would rather make your data sit in one place and then reference. When you need to use them, you just reference them. So that's what I was saying, that let's say, for instance, I have a dashboard where I need these two things to appear, these two columns, but I don't want to copy and paste them. I can use the equal to sign.
Okay.
And then just highlight these two things and click on enter and have here and bring it here. So you can see month, number of migrants, January, February, March, and so on and so forth. So it automatically has pulled the data in. So if I make a change here, let's say I just add 15. Now you see I have 21. Without changing anything here, it has also automatically changed to 21. So these are the building blocks for data analysis. When you do a lot of data analysis work, you see how important being able to navigate between different tabs and sometimes between different workbooks to pull data, how efficient. It makes your work much more efficient and much more faster. But these are sometimes it's much more complex than this, but of course these are the basic building blocks. This is what every other thing builds up on. Yeah, I don't know if that's clear.
Yeah, it's clear.
Yeah. All right. Any questions? We are 3 minutes. Okay. Yeah, we're 3 minutes above time, even though we started a bit late. But at least I would encourage us to please so I'm not going to be needing this. Please always join on time. Always join on time, just to prevent the need to rush. Thank you very much. We are done for today. Thank you very much for time. Thank you for not leaving me alone here. I'll see you again tomorrow, 7 p.m.